So yeah, I would recommend, if anyone is interested in atheism, probably start off with Losing Faith in Faith, because it's more conversational, but Atheism: The Case Against God really showed me how you can really find answers in philosophy, and that it's not just a matter of unanswerable questions that nobody has any answers to. I mean, this book really showed me that you can find answers. So this is another important book to me. Let's see, The Exceptional Presenter. Let's see, my copy of The Fountainhead. I think I got that just because it was new. Actually, I might have misplaced my other copy or so. Let's see. Alright, on to the next bookshelf. Alright, here's the next one. Let's see. These are in no particular order. I keep thinking I'm going to organize it into a language shelf and an objectivism shelf, but I never have. But anyway, so here's Spanish, German, some stuff on linguistics, focusing, early Ayn Rand. Yeah, so yeah, this is pretty random here. Dutch, Spanish. Richard Dawkins, The Selfish Gene. Freedom Evolves by Daniel Dennett. It's about consciousness and etc. And this is my very first copy of Atlas Shrugged. I got a laminate cover because these paperbacks tend to fall apart. So this is the copy that changed my life. Let's see, 1984. This is right, just this exactly the same as Brave New World. You've got to read this if you haven't read it since high school. It'll be a new book. So let's see, some language dictionaries. Capitalism: The Unknown Ideal. I have all the basic Ayn Rand books, all the small compilations, and letters of Ayn Rand and stuff like that. Let's see, How to Learn Any Language. This is by a guy. This is just kind of a fun book. He learns languages as his hobby. I mean, he knows so much of everything, and basically he brings a whole lot of enthusiasm to it. So that's just a fun little book. And let's see, Dostoevsky, Grand Inquisitor. Let's see, a quotation book. I am not looking at these things. There we go. Okay, let's see, All's Fair in Love and War. That's by Mary Madeline and James Carville. Let's see, French Verbs. Yeah, Journals of Ayn Rand. That's a good one. Alright. America Alone, Mark Stein. Yeah, check this one out. This is really good. This is another one of those books of mine that I've marked to hell and back. Let's see, The Bell Curve. I read that when I was either a freshman or sophomore in college. I was very impressed with it. I was also impressed with the fact that it wasn't about what everyone in the media said it was about. That was kind of an education in itself. Let's see, Anti-Americanism, Jean-Francois Revel. He is a French author who did his best to combat anti-Americanism. He talked about how, irrationally anti-American the French and European media are. And he talks about how people in France basically get their opinions fed to them by the media, and that they don't in reality know much about anything when it comes to America or Americans. He died recently, just a couple years ago, I think. Let's see, German verbs, vocabulary books. Death of Right and Wrong is pretty good. That's by she's a talk show host, Tammy Bruce. Well, she talks about how, she's pretty good. Alright, Letters of Ayn Rand, Wealth of Nations. This is my big, thick Wealth of Nations copy. And underneath this, we've got The Rise of the West. This is an older book. It's basically the story of the rise of civilization. I mean, it goes all the way back, like, I think 10,000 years. And it has a bunch of illustrations whenever appropriate. This is one of those things that would probably take at least a month of careful reading to really absorb. So I'm somewhat waiting until I have the big block of time to do it with, because this looks like it would be a really great book, and it would be terrible to just take it a few pages at a time. Let's see on top here, Crime and Punishment. Another thing that I'll read eventually. More of that, and one of my quotation books. Phonology, that's a branch of linguistics that deals with the particular sounds of language, as opposed to, say, morphology, which deals with little units of meaning, like when you put the S at the end of a word to make it plural, that's a morpheme, and the S sound of it, though, is the phoneme. Just random information. Let's see. I think this is The Passion of Ayn Rand. Got that in a bookstore pretty soon after I first read Atlas Shrugged. And the Alex Studies. This is about an African gray parrot named Alex. He died recently, and he was trained by this woman, Irene Pepperberg, to do all sorts of things. He was able to conceptualize, it seems. You could put trays of toys, like there would be green toys and blue toys, and some of those toys would be blocks and some of them would be balls, and you could say how many green blocks, and he'd be able to tell you. I mean, he could count them and he could separate the green from the blue. All sorts of neat things. He would even coin his own phrases. He coined words, and he tried teaching these new words to his trainers. Like he would go, he combined the word for banana and cherry when he was presented with an apple, and he tried teaching this new word to his trainers. He goes, banary. It's just amazing some of the things they were able to teach this bird to do. So let's see, moving on to bottom shelf. Alright. Let's see, I apologize for the fuzziness. It actually looks pretty clear here on the camera, but I'm not sure how to fix it. It's not looking very clear once it gets up on YouTube. But let's see, Romancing Opiates. This is by Theodore Dalrymple as well. It basically makes the case that heroin addiction is not the terrible thing that it is made out to be. He traces this back to Coleridge. He basically made this whole big romantic to-do about, oh, opiates are just fantastic, but you know, they're wonderful, and then you get hooked on them, and oh, the terrible sweet agony. But he says that medically, heroin addiction is like battling a bout of the flu. He counters the argument that people commit crime in order to finance their drug habit so they don't have to go through the terrible withdrawal. And he says, well, which would you rather do? Stick up a bank or go through a bout of the flu? So this is another great book by Theodore Dalrymple.